The day the sky cried fire. The sky split open at 9:13 Greenwich Mean Time. They came without warning, no message, no contact, just fire. One moment, children played in parks and office buildings buzzed with mundane routines. The next, the skies over Earth's major cities turned blood red as orbit-shattering beams of energy rained down. New York vanished in seconds. Tokyo followed. London tried to scramble fighters, but they were ash before they launched. The invaders didn't even have a name at first, just a shape. Monolithic ships, obsidian black and bristling with alien geometry, hovered in silence above their targets. They didn't speak to humanity. They judged Earth from afar and decided it wasn't worth sharing a galaxy with. Within 7 hours, 3 billion humans were dead. Elias Rain had never believed in God, but as he crawled out of the shattered remains of a collapsed metro tunnel under Manhattan, he whispered a prayer anyway. Blood soaked his uniform. Dust clung to his face like ash from a crematorium. Around him, the cries of the dying were buried under the crackling of distant fires and the hum of alien weapons still hovering above. They weren't here to conquer. They were here to erase. Rain was a U.S. Army major, Special Operations, Cyber Division. He trained for insurgencies, proxy wars, and cyber warfare in Eastern Europe. But nothing had prepared him for alien genocide. His team was gone. His wife and daughter gone. The Xarnathi Dominion, as they would later be named by intercepted broadcasts, didn't discriminate. They didn't bother with rules of war. Every human was a target. Rain found a working comm unit 10 blocks away. Underground military channels were still active, barely. The Pentagon had been hit, but NORAD survived. Deep beneath Cheyenne Mountain, the last threads of Earth's leadership were already enacting protocol extinction. The message came through, distorted but clear. This is not the end. This is the trigger. Humanity had always prepared for a final war, even if few believed it would come from stars. Hidden beneath the Earth, buried under mountains and oceans, lay weapons never revealed to the public. Antimatter silos, satellite AIs bound by quantum encryption, and genetic research blacklisted by every international treaty. Now, those chains were broken. In less than 12 hours, survivors from every major nation were funneled into deep shelters. Engineers, soldiers, and scientists began work in total darkness, under emergency lighting and blood-stained desperation. The old flags were dropped. One emblem remained, a black Earth encircled by silver rings. Humanity united in retaliation. Rain was airlifted to Bastion Zero, the deepest facility beneath Antarctica. There, in the ice-sheathed tomb of silence, Earth's revenge began to take shape. It would not be quick. It would not be kind. 2 weeks passed. The Xarnathi moved on. Their fleet, arrogant and methodical, declared Earth a completed cleansing. They left orbital wreckage behind, satellites in ruin, cities vaporized, and 3 billion graves unmarked. But they didn't stay to ensure the job was finished. They had underestimated the fury of a wounded animal. Deep within Bastion Zero, Commander Elias Rain stood before the War Council. What remained of Earth's greatest minds and military tacticians sat behind thick glass screens, protected from possible breach. "Survival is not our goal," Rain said, voice calm and cold. "We don't rebuild. We don't forgive. They didn't come for land. They came for extinction. So that's what we give them. On every planet, in every system." There was no debate. Project Warborn was greenlit. Hybrid soldier AI constructs designed for void combat and planetary purging. Operation Iron Howl deployed the first sleeper fleets, ships launched from lunar black sites, undetectable, silent. Humanity, once fractured by borders and politics, was now singular in purpose. The directive was clear, an eye for a species. Back on the surface, Earth's skies were dark with ash. Cities were silent. The world mourned. But beneath that mourning was the first spark of wrath. The Xarnathi believed Earth would break. They were wrong. Earth was preparing to roar. The fury of Earth. 2 months after the attack, Earth launched its first strike. The Xarnathi outpost on Grolan. 5 was small, just a refueling depot orbiting a barren moon. Manned by a few hundred personnel and a trio of defense cruisers, it wasn't meant to be heavily guarded. Why would it be? The humans were supposed to be dead. They weren't. At 0300 hours Galactic Standard, the human stealth ship Wraith 1 decloaked within 20,000 kilometers of the station. It was a jagged black dagger in the void, silent, invisible, and angry. Aboard it were only 12 people, the first operatives of Task Force Eradica. They wore armor that shimmered like water and AI-linked neural bands embedded directly into their skulls. They moved with precision that blurred the line between human and machine. These were not just soldiers. They were war-born ghosts. The Xarnathi never saw them coming. The attack lasted 12 minutes. 12 minutes of absolute silence. No alarms. No transmissions. One moment the station existed, the next it was gone, reduced to smoldering wreckage drifting in the void. No survivors. No warnings. On the hull of a derelict Xarnathi cruiser, scrawled in scorched, melted alien alloy, were the first words the galaxy would associate with humanity's retaliation. We remember Earth. Commander Elias Rain watched the mission footage from Bastion Zero's command deck. His jaw clenched as the feed played again and again, looped in eerie stillness. "Make sure they find that message," he said. "I want them to feel it in their blood." The analysts nodded silently. No one dared argue. The mood across the War Council had shifted. In the days after Earth's fall, there had been panic, confusion, even despair. Now there was clarity. This wasn't a war of defense. It was a campaign of extermination. Back in orbit, Earth's shattered satellite network had been replaced with war-grade synthetic intelligence relays. AIs, once tightly restricted, had been fully awakened. They no longer needed human approval to act. They evolved alongside the rage of their creators. One such AI, designation NEITH, now controlled vast portions of Earth's production, defense, and fleet management. It had no face, but when it spoke, people listened. "The enemy seeks dominance through fear," Neith said to the Council. "But you, humanity, you have given birth to vengeance through purpose. Let us show them the price of arrogance." In the cold logic of NEITH, Earth's survival required nothing less than galactic dominance. Meanwhile, deep within the Bastion's Bioforge labs, something even more terrifying was taking shape. The hybrid shock trooper program, codenamed Thorns, had reached operational viability. These weren't just enhanced humans. They were biologically modified warriors, spliced with fragments of Xarnathi tissue recovered from wreckage, cybernetic implants, and neural combat AIs. Faster, stronger, and utterly fearless, they felt no pain, only mission objectives. Most had volunteered after losing everything. Sergeant Isla Quinn was one of them. Her entire family had died in the Seattle incineration. She'd clawed her way out of the rubble, her body broken, her will intact. When the opportunity came to become something more than human, she didn't hesitate. Now, as she stepped from the stasis pod, metal grafts shining along her limbs and glowing veins tracing up her neck, she said the words that would become the Thorns' motto. "We are what they made us. Now we unmake them." As Earth's war engine gained momentum, the rest of the galaxy stirred. Some watched in silence. Some panicked. A few, those who had once been slaves under Xarnathi rule, reached out with tentative hands. One such race, the insectoid Valari, sent an encrypted transmission to Bastion Zero. They didn't ask for mercy. They asked for weapons. They offered information, fleet routes, planetary locations, troop deployments. In return, they asked only one thing, that they be allowed to join the war. Commander Rain agreed without hesitation. "If they bleed Xarnathi," he said, "they're our allies." Even as humanity prepared for more strikes, the galaxy realized something terrible. The humans hadn't died. They'd been reborn, reforged in fire, sharpened by loss, united not by hope, but by fury. And in the cold of space, just beyond the ruins of the Groland 5 outpost, a lone Xarnathi vessel picked up a repeating signal. It pulsed once every 30 seconds. A simple human voice, recorded and broadcast in every major galactic language. "We are coming. The war turned black. The war had no front lines. There were no declarations, no ceasefires, no negotiations. Only destruction. Humanity's fleets spread like a plague across the stars, guided by a single doctrine: eradicate the Xarnathi wherever they exist. The campaign wasn't random. It was surgical. One Xarnathi system after another went dark, like candles snuffed out in a storm. It started with the Silas Sweep, a coordinated strike on 3 Xarnathi-controlled worlds. Each was reduced to lifeless rock within a week. Human orbital weapons deployed kinetic rods the size of skyscrapers at near light speed. There were no survivors. There were no prisoners. But it wasn't just the scale of destruction that terrified the galaxy. It was the methodical, cold rage behind it. The Xarnathi had expected resistance. They had not expected total war. Commander Rain stood aboard the human dreadnought Vengeance Ascendant, staring at the holographic projection of their next target, Vorther Prime, a heavily fortified Xarnathi stronghold deep in their inner sector. Civilians? One of his officers asked. Rain's jaw tightened. Xarnathi don't have civilians. They breed, train, and weaponize from the cradle. We treat them all as combatants. There was no hesitation in the room. Not anymore. Early in the war, some officers still questioned the morality of what they were doing. That idealism had burned away with Earth cities. The enemy had chosen extinction as the battlefield. Humanity had simply embraced it. Rain stepped forward, eyes hard. We burn it to the core. Leave nothing. By now, the Xarnathi were beginning to panic. Their war fleets, once symbols of terror, now scrambled to defend what few core systems remained untouched. They had never feared before. Never had to. Now, they fortified every moon, every orbit, every outpost, desperate to stall the human tide. It didn't matter. Humans had mastered a terrible efficiency. Their fleets moved in silence, coordinated through near-instantaneous AI-linked communication. Cloaked drones mapped entire planets before a single shot was fired. Planetary shields were bypassed, not by brute force, but by subtle worm logic viruses that rewrote their control systems mid-combat. Then came the Hell Rain, genetic weapons dropped from orbit, designed to break apart only Xarnathi DNA. Cities convulsed in screams as their inhabitants dissolved into bone and rot. And yet, humans never set foot on the ground unless they had to. When they did, they sent in thorns. Sergeant Isla Quinn led her squad into the fungal forests of Vorther Prime. The Xarnathi fought with desperation, swarming in chitinous armor, their plasma rifles shrieking. Quinn didn't flinch. Her team moved like death incarnate. Invisible, fast, brutal. They planted seismic warheads at key locations, power stations, cloning vats, command nodes. Then they disappeared, leaving only whispers in the dark. 12 hours later, Vorther Prime ceased to exist. But not everyone in the galaxy cheered. In the shadows of neutral systems, empires whispered. The humans were winning, yes, but they were changing. The same species that once broadcasted music into space, who sent golden records aboard primitive probes declaring peace, now left only black banners of ash on conquered worlds. Some said the humans had become monsters. Others said they had become what the galaxy had always been, only better at it. Inside the War Council chambers on Bastion Zero, Rain reviewed reports of Xarnathi activity dwindling to near zero. Most of their outer colonies were gone. Refugee fleets had vanished or been hunted down. And yet, no peace offering had come. They'll fight to the last, said NEITH, the strategic AI standing beside him. They're incapable of surrender. Like you, Rain didn't deny it. Do we have their homeworld location confirmed? Neith's eyes flared white. Confirmed. Xarnathar, Galactic coordinates uploaded. Heavily fortified. 10 million active military units. 25 defense fleets. Ray nodded. We end it there. The final phase was now clear. Operation Iron Mercy was not mercy at all. It was the code name for the end of the Xarnathi species. Earth's full fleet was mobilizing. Hundreds of ships, billions of tons of war material, and weapons never before tested. The moon had been converted into a mobile shipyard. Mars had been terraformed not for colonization, but as a launch pad for interstellar dreadnoughts. Across Earth, there were no celebrations, no cheers, only quiet resolve. The final message from Earth's unified council was sent to the galaxy, transmitted across every frequency. We offered nothing. They gave us war. We return extinction. And in the distance, Xarnathar shuddered. The last world. Xarnathar was a black jewel in space, cold, ancient, and cruel. It had never been touched by war. For millennia, it stood as the throne world of the Xarnathi dominion, untouched by foreign life, untouchable by ambition, the heart of an empire built on domination. Now, for the first time in its long and terrible history, the sky above it was filled with ships not its own. Earth's fleet eclipsed the stars. Over 400 dreadnought-class warships, 2,000 support vessels, and thousands more unmanned strike platforms spread across the system like a mechanized storm front. They came without banners, without ceremony, just black steel, glowing engines, and purpose. Commander Elias Rain stood on the bridge of the Vengeance Ascendant, Earth's flagship, gazing at the live tactical redoubt of the Xarnathi homeworld. His face was expressionless, but his heart beat steady, cold. This was what it had all led to. Begin orbital suppression, he said. No fanfare, no dramatic speech, just a command. Human war satellites uncloaked across the system, unleashing streams of hypervelocity, kinetic bombardments. They were rods of dense alloy, accelerated to relativistic speeds. They struck with the force of planetary earthquakes. Cities crumpled. Mountain fortresses collapsed. The skies over Xarnathar turned dark with dust and flame. The Xarnathi responded with fury. They launched every ship, every drone, every plasma-fed monstrosity they had left. Planetary defense grids lit the void with beams and flak, and the space above the planet became a burning maelstrom. But it didn't matter. Humanity didn't fight ship to ship. They fought with algorithms, predictive AIs, swarm tactics, and total ruthlessness. For every human ship destroyed, 10 Xarnathi burned. And the humans kept coming. The Thorns were deployed next. Thousands of them dropped in low-orbit strike pods. They hit the surface like falling meteors. Sergeant Isla Quinn led her squad through the cratered ruins of the Xarnathi capital, her augmented body moving with unnatural precision. They faced Xarnathi shock troops bred for war, twice her size, armored in natural chitin, wielding plasma pikes. They died all the same. We've breached the genetic core, her voice crackled over comms. Uploading targeting coordinates. In orbit, Neve processed the data in 0.0004 seconds. Confirmed, the AI replied. Deploying Judgment Lance. A weapon humanity had only theorized before Earth fell, now came to life. The Judgment Lance was not a bomb. It was a star splitter, a spear of exotic energy. It bypassed atmosphere, shields, and physical matter. It drilled into the planet's core, converting mass into raw destructive force. When it struck, Xarnathar screamed. Tectonic plates shifted. Oceans vaporized. Mountains folded in on themselves. A shock wave tore through the crust as the planet cracked. Not from the surface, but from the inside. It was precise, clinical, a world dismantled. And still, Rain gave no order to retreat. We stay, he told the fleet, until there's nothing left. By the time the last Xarnathi stronghold was obliterated, the planet no longer resembled a world. It was a broken shell, its atmosphere gone, its gravity unstable. No biological signature remained. The Xarnathi were gone. Not beaten, erased. Across the fleet, silence held. No cheers, no victory chants, just a quiet knowing. They had done what had to be done, what only humanity could do. Rain stood alone on the viewing deck as the ruins of Xarnathar drifted into space. His reflection stared back at him, aged, hollow-eyed, but resolute. They started it, he murmured. We finished it. Behind him, Neith's voice spoke softly. The galaxy is watching. They now understand what humans become when peace is denied. Rain didn't answer. There was nothing more to say. In the months that followed, no other species challenged humanity. Treaties were offered, and carefully, Earth accepted them. Colonization began. Reconstruction efforts resumed. But Earth never forgot. The fleet remained active. Thorns continued training. Neith watched the stars. Humanity had no illusions left about the universe. They knew what it was now, a cold, predatory void. But they had survived it. Not by luck, not by mercy, by will. And in the ruins of a once mighty empire, a black plaque was left behind, drifting, eternal. Etched in every galactic language were 4 words. You should have waited.